A donut?
Okay, well, good evening, folks. Feel free to continue eating if you've got food or drinks. That's not a problem. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Skip Lord. I work in the advancement office, and Stetson's one of the folks that I work with, and so I get the privilege of introducing him. Stetson is 1999 Houghton grad, who was also a member of the men's soccer team while he was here. And so he understands a little bit of that, being involved in the co-curricular realm of the college while you're trying to take through your student work as well. He's had quite a career, and I'll let him share the details of that, but most recently, his last two positions have been with one of the big four accounting firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers. When he was still down in Florida, he was the manager of budget planning and analysis, and then when he moved up to New York, technically New Jersey, he took a position as Consulting Solutions Finance Director, still with PricewaterhouseCoopers. So we're anxious to hear what he has to share with us, and he'll have some time at the end for Q&A if you have any questions that you want to share with him, and we'll go from there. So, Stetson, thanks for taking time to be here.
So hi everyone, thanks for coming. I figured I'd start tonight by sharing just a little bit about how I got to Houghton, and then the path I took in my career. So how I got to Houghton. Most people, when they're looking for colleges, they have a list of schools they're looking at majors and location and all programs, that kind of thing. To be completely honest, Houghton was not on my list. I didn't even know Houghton existed. It just wasn't on my radar. I grew up in Canada. I played soccer, and I wanted to continue playing soccer as I went to college. And so I was looking to do that. I was looking at schools, looking to potentially get a scholarship to play soccer, and things were working out pretty well. I had a handful of schools that I was looking at. Some good leads, and I thought that, okay, that's going to work out. While that was all going on, the coach from Houghton had reached out to me. He was going to be the new coach that year, Dwight Hornibrook, and he was also Canadian and knew my club soccer coach. And so there was a recommendation there, and I got invited to come to Houghton for a recruiting weekend. So I said, sure, why not? I'll go, no skin off my back. I came, I had a good time, enjoyed it, enjoyed the guys on the team, enjoyed my time here at Houghton. But when I left, I had zero intention of coming back. Not because anything was wrong with it, but just I had other plans, so I had no intention of coming back. Well, some time went by. As the months went by, things started falling apart with my other plans. So for a variety of reasons, things just didn't work out with these other schools that I was looking at. So Houghton became my basically last best option. So my decision was, okay, I'll go to Houghton for a semester or a year, and I'll transfer. I'll do well in soccer, do well in school, and I'll transfer. And so that was my plan coming in. Came a year tops, and I'll transfer out. Well, I came, fell in love with it. I loved my team. I loved being here. I loved the community that was here, and I stayed. I was here all 4 years, and I had a fantastic experience and no regrets. After I graduated, I got a job in Philadelphia, and so that was, the start of my professional career. I was like, let me go to Philadelphia, big city, lots of opportunity. The company that I worked for first, things really didn't work out. After a year, I moved, went to work for Urban Outfitters, became an accountant for them, working in Center City, Philadelphia. It was fantastic. Great company, great people that I was working with, and it was awesome. After a few years of that, my wife and I decided that we'd had enough of winter. She's a Houghton grad as well, so we decided, you know what? She grew up in South Jersey, then came to Houghton. I grew up in Canada, and we're still in Philly. And we're like, no, this winter stuff is not working. So let's move down to Florida. And so we did all this research on where we would live when we moved down to Florida. And Tampa, the Tampa area, ended up being where we decided we wanted to live. Well, it turned out that one of the ladies that I became friends with while working at Urban Outfitters, her best friend worked in human resources at PricewaterhouseCoopers in Tampa. So I'm like, okay, that seems to work. Not only did she work in human resources, but she'd just taken a role in recruiting right when I decided that I wanted to move. So through that connection, I was able to start my career at PwC. This is back in 2004. So the thing about PwC, it's a big company, and that was one of the great things I liked about it, because I said, I'm going to be able to move around, do different things, have different experiences. Excuse me. Have some different experiences, and I don't have to leave the company. So I was fortunate enough that I started as an associate. I was fortunate enough that I was able to get to manager pretty quickly. And then once I got to manager, stayed there for longer than I liked. So I was starting to get a little antsy and wanting to take that next step to senior manager. Looking for different roles within the firm. Nothing was working out, and then a senior manager role came up on my team, and it seemed to me a logical move. So I applied for the role. Thought, this is no problem. I had great performance reviews. Everything was going well. I thought, this is no problem. It's a shoo-in. Well, I didn't get the role. The group decided to go in another direction, bring someone in from the outside. To be honest, I was devastated. I didn't understand. This is what I had planned. It made sense. I don't understand why this didn't work out. So now I'm frustrated, disappointed, looking for roles even more feverishly now. And another role came up, and I said, you know what, maybe I'll just take a lateral move and just take another manager role just to do something else. Well, I tried that, and that didn't work out. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, things were going so well, and now it's not working out. Well, the person that got that other role had vacated a role that I didn't even think about. It wasn't on my radar at all. The good thing about the fact that I was in a manager role for so long was that I got to be part of some great projects. I was doing things that a manager wouldn't necessarily do. I got to get involved in different projects and meet with different people. And during one of those projects, I had made a really good impression on one of the directors. That I didn't work directly for him, but I found out later that I made a good impression on him. Well, that role that opened, it ended up being under him, and I got that job. And like I said, not my plan at all, but it turned out to be the best thing, because this guy, who I actually work for again now, has turned out to be one of the best coaches and mentors that I've had at the firm. And so I got this job with him, and then as it turned out, the senior manager in that team got promoted to a director in 6 months, and I got my senior manager job within 6 months. So a totally different path than I had picked, than I had charted out for myself. But I believe that God had his hand in it, and I went down the path that I was supposed to go. So I ended up in this senior manager role within our budgeting and forecasting team. One of the great things about this team is that it's a central role, and everybody's submitting their budgets and forecasts on a monthly basis to this team. So I get to have touch points with a bunch of different areas of the business, which is great for me because I got to meet different people, connect with different people, and understand what different groups do. And so this role was a fantastic opportunity for me to kind of spread my wings and figure out what's going on, learn more about the company. As time went on, I got to work directly with some of our leaders. The finance leader for the U.S., would email me or instant message me, "Hey, I need this report," da, da, da. And I would do it and send it to him and that kind of thing. It was great. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. As it turned out, a few years later, I've been a senior manager for a while, and I'm now looking for a change. And I've been talking to people and saying, "Hey, what do you think I should do next? What do you think is my next move?" One of the people I called was this finance leader for the U.S., and I said, "Joe, what do you think of this job?" I found a job, and he said, "Yeah, that sounds good, and I think you could do it, but what do you think about coming and working for me? What do you think about this job?" And I said, "Well, I think that would be great. I just had no idea that was available." And he said, "Yes, I have a role available. It'll be a promotion for you. It'll be a promotion to director. And one little catch, you'd have to move to New York." I was in Tampa at the time. I'd been in Tampa for 12 years at this point. No intentions of ever moving back up north. People would always ask me, "When are you moving back up north? When are you moving back?" And I'd say, "Why? I live in Tampa. Why would I be moving back up north?" So this opportunity came along, and I figured it was something that I couldn't pass up. It was an opportunity to get a promotion to director, to work directly for the U.S. finance leader, the U.S. CFO, and the U.S. leadership team. It was an opportunity that I couldn't resist. So I ended up doing that. Moved the family up to the New York metro area, New Jersey, as Coach Lord had said, and that was in 2016. Did that role for a few years as working in the office of the CFO. Great exposure. Got to go to every year we have fall partner meetings where all the partners from the firm get together in different locations and basically have a business meeting. I got to go to a few of those, created slides and stuff for those meetings, which was kind of cool to be sitting in a meeting with the leaders of your company and seeing slides up on the screen that you created. I mean, I was like, wow, that is pretty cool. I did that. And talking to all the partners and all the leaders, it was a great experience. Did that for a few years, and then was able to transition into the job that I'm currently doing now, which is supporting some of our consulting businesses. So being able to talk with them and help our partners and leaders figure out how to price their engagements profitably, to project where their revenues are going to be for the year and for the month, to project how they should do things properly. I just have had a great experience with PwC. Not because of what I did and what I wanted to do and the path that I wanted to take, but because I was open to taking a path that wasn't mine. And I would say that God had a hand in that. If I go back and look at all the moves I made, so getting to Houghton, that wasn't me. That was 100% God, and He had me here because He knew that that's what I needed. me moving to Philadelphia, getting a job in Philadelphia. Like I said, my wife was a Houghton grad. We didn't date when we were in college. We were friends probably from day one. She was a field hockey player, I was a soccer player, so we were both here for preseason. And we became friends almost instantly. And then it wasn't till after college, when I was living in Philadelphia, and she came home for a summer. She was working in Puerto Rico. She came home for the summer, and we reconnected and decided, oh, wait, this is maybe a little more than friendship. So that move to Philadelphia, even though it didn't work out with that first company, was definitely where I was supposed to be. And then the move to Florida. Having happened to meet somebody at a job whose best friend was working and recruiting for a company that I wanted to work for, I don't think that stuff happens by chance. And so as I look at it, I look back and I say, kind of, wow, what an effect that God has had on my life. And I could look at those things and say, oh, it's just a coincidence, or it happened this way, or it's because I worked hard, and yes, I did work hard. I did put in a lot of work, and some of those opportunities I created for myself. But I couldn't have created those things if God's hand wasn't in it. And so I look at my career, and I thank God that He pointed me on the right path. And then what I do is I take the path, and I keep going, and I do the best that I can. And I think that Houghton has helped me prepare for that. When I came to Houghton, not only did I not know where Houghton College was or what Houghton was, I didn't really know what a relationship with Christ was like. So I would have called myself a Christian if you'd asked me my whole life growing up. I would have said, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, I believe in God. But it wasn't until I came here that I really understood what that relationship with Christ was really about. It wasn't just about going to church or believing in God. Anyone can believe in God, but it's that relationship. It's that relationship piece that's important, and that's what I discovered here at Houghton, whether with my teammates, going to chapel, with friends, and talking. Some friends that I still talk to this day, that I was just texting with, this week when I was coming up here. This was a great place. It helped shape who I am, helped shape my career. I feel that I've had a lot of personal success. I know that I have Houghton to thank for that. I have God to thank for that. Yes, I put in hard work, because I think that's what we're called to do, is to work hard at whatever we're given, and that's what I try to tell my kids, to make sure you're working hard and doing your best. But it's definitely about the path that's in front of you, and it's not always going to be what you plan. And know that just because your plans don't work out doesn't mean that it's not going to be better. You could have something that you totally don't see. There's a bigger picture out there, and once you are able to step back from it, you can see that, oh, that's why that happened. That's why this happened. Sometimes in the moment, those things are really hard to see. And so I just encourage you, if you have setbacks or things don't work out, just be encouraged to just ask for that peace, ask for clarity, and just making sure that you're following the correct path. I think that's it.
Do you have any questions for Stetson while he's here? Me, I have a question.
Sure.
Any post-Houghton education, professional development pieces that helps you to successfully navigate those other jobs and so forth?
Sure, yeah. Post-Houghton, I almost wish I'd done this, to do my master's right after school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do that. I waited a few years to do it, and it was hard. It was hard doing it when I had a young family at the time, and work. So I was doing my master's at night. So I'd go to work from 8 to 6 or whatever, then go to class. And I'd be in class until about 10 o'clock at night. Then I'd get home and, whether it's do homework or whatever, to finish something from work. It was tough. I took 5 years. I took 5 years to do my master's because I was doing one course at a time. It was tough. It was hard work. I'm glad I did it, and I think it has helped me. The one thing that I'll say is it was being able to do it after I'd had professional experience. I was in those classes with a different, a little bit different perspective than some of the other students in there that had done their master's right after school, just because I'd be able to say, well, that might be what it says in the book, but this is how it works in real life. And that's kind of what the master's courses, but the professors were very, I went to a small school, University of Tampa. It's a smaller private school, and our classes were similar to our classes here. Smaller class size where the professors are really, really engaged. So yes, I did my master's of it. Any other questions? Yes?
Stetson, what advice do you have for students graduating? What do you know now that you wish you had known then?
I think for me, I wish I'd gotten more involved in technology. Not, writing code and that kind of thing, but just simple things. I talked about it in an accounting class today. One of the things that's really hot right now that we're looking for at PwC is people that can do visualizations, whether that's Tableau or Power BI, stuff like that, or automations, Alteryx, that kind of thing, run bots. Those things are really in demand. And not just, so the part of the issue that we have is you have technologists who are really good at writing that stuff, and then you have the business people who are trying to interpret it, and the technologists sometimes build stuff that we just say, no, that doesn't work. That's not how we look at it. So someone that's able to do both of those pieces and pull those pieces together, I think is really valuable. And I wish that I'd gotten more involved in that. Something that I did, there was a question in the accounting class today. Someone was talking about, what from my Houghton experience do I think has helped in my career? And I think it's being here and being in the small class size. I was an accounting major, and we had small classes. We worked on things together, especially as we got in our upper level classes. That was great, because that's what happens in real life. When you have a problem at work, you're typically not sent off to work on it by yourself. It's a team trying to figure out what the issue is. So being able to do that here and figuring out how to work with people that you may not think about things the same way, you may not solve a problem the same way, but together you're gonna come up with a better solution than separately. Learning how to do that here will be very beneficial when you go out into the workplace, because you don't get to choose who you work with. You're on a team with people, and your boss doesn't care if you like each other. He just wants results. And so being able to figure that out here will be invaluable.
Thank you very much, Stetson. Stetson will hang around for a few minutes. If anybody has an individual question that you didn't quite want to ask the group, feel free to stop up and introduce